Did you know there's a love factory? Yes, this factory was created by God, but why did he need to create a love factory? To answer this question, we have to put ourselves in God's shoes. Any of us, if alone, would want something to give meaning to our existence and would start doing something. So, God envisioned a family, beings in his image and likeness. And since God's essence is love, this family ideal would have to produce love. And how would God create these beings? To create beings in his image and likeness, he would have to reflect his essence in creation. And to better understand what God is like, let's read in the Bible, Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. So, we can perceive God's power and divinity through the things created. Following this logic, we will perceive that God is similar to what exists. Throughout all creation, we will see what we can call dual characteristics. A human being has an invisible mind and a visible body. The mind directs the life of the man's body. The body resembles the mind. In this way, the body is the expression or manifestation of the mind. We can thus say that the mind is the internal character of man, and the body is his external form. Without the directives of the mind, the body cannot exist, act, and multiply. The man's body is made up of physiological cells. Animals also have an invisible part that manifests in the visible body as instinct. This invisible part of the animal is similar to the mind of man and is called the animal mind. The animal mind directs the animal's body, which resembles its mind. Consequently, we say that the animal mind is its internal character and its body is its external form. Plants also have an invisible part, which directs all the plant's natures. This is a directive nature. This invisible part is the plant mind that directs the plant's body. Therefore, it also has an internal character and an external form. Molecules, atoms, and particles are also made of invisible parts and visible parts. Their invisible parts are sources of their inherent directive natures and can be compared to a plant's mind. Consequently, we can say that the invisible parts are the internal character and the visible parts are the external form. We also find other dual characteristics throughout creation, the dual characteristics of masculinity and femininity. In Genesis 2:22, we read, "Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man." Conclusion: God created by projecting his being into creation, and in that way created the cosmos, the spiritual world as internal character, and the physical world as external form. After creating the environment to realize his family ideal, he needed to make the necessary preparations to constitute his family. So, God created angels as ministering spirits to help him in creation, in addition to keeping him enthusiastic as admirers of his creations. After creating the angels in the spiritual world, God prepared the planet Earth as the Garden of Eden to finally create his children, Adam and Eve. God then created man from his masculine essence, with a spiritual body and a physical body, and created woman from his feminine essence, with a spiritual body and a physical body. And with the purpose of realizing his family ideal, he blessed them by saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Genesis 1:28. The three great blessings. We see that the first blessing refers to individual perfection, grow or be fruitful. Does God have to command human beings to grow? Of course not. Here God was referring to the perfection of character and to spiritual growth, and to being able to produce fruit. The second blessing is the union of Adam and Eve, respecting the order of the first blessing to be able to produce fruit. The third blessing would have had the desired effect from God if it had also followed the sequence of the blessings. Then humanity would have loved and cared for creation. These three blessings confirm God's intention to create a family. Why do we need a family? All people desire to be happy. Happiness is not a goal, but a consequence of achieved goals. Every and any goal we have in our lives ultimately aims to receive love. The motivation of all existence is love. The cause of all anguish is the lack of it. And the reason why it seems increasingly distant is the neglect and degradation of its generating core. The family. All human institutions have the family as their origin and model. In it, we learn to love and be loved. And it is from this that all motivation, inspiration, and will to live and be happy arise. The greatest frustration of a human being is feeling unloved. From this, we can see that the degradation of the family is the greatest cause of all suffering. Love is complementary, stimulating the existence of love. To love is a transitive verb, therefore it needs a direct object. We will always have someone loving and someone receiving this love. In other words, in everything, there is a need for a relationship between two beings. Of course, we can say that we also love ourselves. It is true. But that is like trying to find the value of sunlight in a situation where we have never experienced a night. There are no contrasts, and, therefore, no stimuli. For these stimuli to exist, everything in the universe exists in pairs. Everything that exists is complementary to something. That is, we perceive dual characteristics in everything. The smallest existing particles are divided into positive and negative. Minerals are divided into positive and negative molecules. Plants into stamen and pistil. Animals into male and female. Human beings into man and woman. In addition, we perceive complementary elements. There is a contrast between right and left, above and below, inside and outside. Contrasts in the sense of complement. Love is harmony and balance. The unity between the subject and the object generates harmony and balance. So this does not imply that one of these contrasts is between good and evil. On the contrary, good is the harmony and balance between complementary pairs, and evil is the imbalance and conflict between them. Conclusion. There is no happiness or love in being alone. Love is service. In love, there is no room for individualism, even thinking that we do not need others and that we are independent. Independence is not isolation. Being independent is being able to live for the greater good without being forced to. Common goals eliminate inequalities and the community benefits, a society where its citizens think and live for the happiness of the whole, in which we are included and generate joy and well-being for the family, for society. Purposes will only be coherent through the stimulus of living for the greater good. Otherwise, the emergence of conflicts is inevitable. Love lies in the dedication of each person for the common interest that enables the greater good. The family, society, and the nation gain, and fraternal bonds are created among their citizens. Love is freedom. We all cry out for love and for freedom to love. However, freedom depends on three requirements: rules, responsibility, practical results. Our freedom ends where the freedom of our fellow human being or any other being begins. Therefore, rules are necessary to delimit our patterns of conduct. The point is that these rules must become a pattern of conscience, so that they are applied more and more naturally, and not as impositions. The law is a set of these rules. However, it is the pattern of the heart that increasingly elevates the law to a degree of perfection, and not the other way around. Following rules is having paths to find happiness. If there are rules, they must be followed for the well-being of all. Following rules is a matter of responsibility and respect for the whole. Being responsible is the path to maturity, personal satisfaction, inner peace, and the way to ensure the love of others towards us. We are free so that, according to the rules and with responsibility, we can love and be loved by the environment in which we live. No matter how much someone respects rules and acts responsibly, if they do not seek to make their freedom produce joy and satisfaction for other people, they will be as lacking in love as those who disrespect rules and act irresponsibly. So what are we free for? We can be free to simply stand still, but what joy will we feel in that? Without results, without actions, without products by which we demonstrate love, freedom becomes useless and practically non-existent. Love also comes with the feeling of eternity. After all the conditions for the existence of love that we have seen, the most serious of all remains: the feeling of eternity. Does true love end at some point? Does it have an end? Do we stop loving our parents or loved ones after they die? No, because love is eternal and transcends even death. One of the things that most offends us is the fact that the love that was given to us one day will cease. We realize that the love we had was false, because true love never ends. If love ends, it was not true love, but merely a mask to deceive and usurp us. We conclude that the family is the basic unit of society. How does love flow through the family institution? Filial love is the first level of love, an attitude of receiving. This is what arises in our first years of life. We only receive affection, attention, and care from our parents without having to reciprocate anything. It is a unilateral level of love summarized as receiving, and it is where we definitively end up being the center of the world. We then learn to love our parents based on what we receive from them. Fraternal love is the love that makes us aware that we are not alone in the world. It is an attitude of sharing. The second level of love occurs when we have siblings, or we become aware of them. We need to share what we receive from our parents: affection, attention, comfort, space, and thus, we begin to laterally expand our level of love, displaying the attitude of expecting to receive, but aware that we are not alone, and that we need to share what we receive. Conjugal love is the love of completing the self. It is the attitude of giving unconditionally. After growing up, we reach maturity and leave the bosom of our family to form our own family, where we share, not for the purpose of receiving love, but out of the need to complement each other. Paternal love is when we realize that to love is to live for the good of others, an attitude of donating oneself for the good of those we love. We reach the peak where we perceive that love is serving, even if it means giving ourselves. This is not a love that seeks to receive, nor a love that seeks to share, but a love that seeks only and solely to give oneself for the good of the beloved. By experiencing the 4 levels of love within the family, our task is to expand this family environment to society. How would this happen? In the case of filial love, we learn to love our parents at home. We would learn to transmute this love to our teachers at school, to older people, to our employers at work, and to our government leaders in the nation. In the case of fraternal love, we learn to love our siblings in the family. We would extend this love to people of similar age to ours, in all social interaction situations, to classmates, friends, co-workers, and fellow citizens, seeing them as our siblings. Conjugal love, this is the only love that should never be shared. Knowing that the sexual union between a man and a woman generates human life, we should be extremely responsible for this act. Generating life outside the family is a barbaric crime, because it is killing a being by the most perverse means, the lack of love. The human being is the image and likeness of God, but the human being is not just the man or just the woman, but both. God, when creating the human being, projected his masculine and feminine attributes separately, so that when united, they would be his image and likeness. However, this union, to represent God, must have the qualities of unique, absolute, eternal, and immutable. Therefore, we seek to make the union between man and woman unique, eternal, immutable, and absolute. It is the correct path for the solidification of the family environment. Far from this commitment, true families cannot be constituted. In the case of paternal love, we learn to love our children at home and would spread this love to our neighbors' children, loving them as if they were our own children, loving our students, and everyone old enough to be our children as if they were. Coexistence between generations, the family situated in time. Grandparents' love is the closest to God. Grandparents give us a sense of direction, and through the experience they have acquired, we learn faster with respect and serenity. Parents represent the present, and children, grandchildren, represent the future. There is no purpose in living the present without preserving the past for the sake of the future. The sense of eternity of love is intimately linked to concern for younger generations, because in them lies the future of the nation. It is important to maintain the link between past and future, understanding the errors and successes previously made so that errors are minimized and successes maximized in times to come. A true family model that can be applied at all levels of society is the basis of human personality and character, balancing duties and rights. Character maturity. If a person were to receive the 4 levels of love, character maturation would be assured. But what is a mature character? Every physical need must be submitted for greater well-being, with an altruistic attitude. God exists, and He is the source of this altruism, and is in constant relationship with us, not only from a religious or systematic perspective, but rather in a father-son relationship. Our physical needs such as hunger, sexual desire, sleep, or material possessions, intellectual baggage, are not above my heart and the need for love. Every physical need must be submitted for greater well-being, with an altruistic attitude. Such a person avoids conflicts and manages to find within themselves the eternal source of harmony and happiness. Harmony and happiness that will emanate in words and lead them to find a spouse not for the purpose of satisfying themselves, but rather to multiply what is harmonious within them. This is what we call character maturity. We are not born due to our own will. We do not choose our name or the date and place of birth. Therefore, we do not exist for ourselves, but for the good of others. Young people who achieve this character maturity will form families in which conjugal love will certainly be unique, eternal, immutable, and absolute, and will finally become exemplary parents. The value they will aim for will be original love, and they will have a complete notion and experience that the greatest joy and happiness we can experience originates from the love that is reciprocated to us. These will provide better living conditions than they themselves have or had for their children, students, and their governed, making them better people than themselves. The way to have this reciprocation of love is to serve unconditionally. Invest everything you have and prepare to invest even more. Social harmony. This expanded family environment will generate a human society in full harmony with the love of God. We call this social harmony. Economic interests would be submitted to progress and common well-being, where new technologies would not be manipulated in favor of a few, and it would solidify the basis of scientific and technological progress guided by zeal and care for life. Perfection of heart humanity, existing with this pattern of harmony and love, will inevitably transmit this to nature, preserving and cultivating the environment. The idea of harming the environment would be inconceivable, because all the love developed in human relationships would be overflowing into the relationship with nature. Thus, the family ideal passes through these 3 points: character maturity, social harmony, and perfection of heart. Therefore, the family is much broader than the simple agglomeration of people living under the same roof. Result of families degenerating society faces countless problems ranging from social inequality, increased violence, drugs, prostitution, and environmental degradation, to more complex issues such as social exclusion and lack of empathy. One reason that can explain this situation is the lack of love in human relationships. Love is an emotion that allows us to connect with others in a deep and empathetic way, enabling us to understand their needs, desires, and difficulties. When this connection is absent, human relationships become superficial, and people feel isolated and disconnected. The lack of love in human relationships can lead to a series of social problems. For example, social inequality can increase when people become selfish and care only about their own interests at the expense of the well-being of the community as a whole. Violence can also be a result of the lack of love in human relationships. When people do not feel connected and cannot resolve their conflicts peacefully, they may resort to violence to impose their will. So, the family ideal begins to degenerate due to a lack of character maturity. As individuals, influenced by an environment that profits from these circumstances, we do not develop the capacity for unconditional and beneficial love, and we become stagnant at the selfish level of seeking only to receive, childish, or at the level of love based on interests, bargaining and negotiating love for self-benefit, adolescent. Without going through the individual maturation process adequately, social harmony through the practice of paternal love is harmed, and all these harms are reflected in human relationships and with nature. Without going through the individual maturation process adequately, social harmony through the practice of paternal love is harmed, and all these harms are reflected in human relationships and with the environment. So now you know why God created us? Let's recap. The reason is right there, in the first pages of your Bible. In Genesis 1:28, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground." There are 3 blessings. The first is to grow or be fruitful. Everything grows naturally by the laws of nature. Therefore, God was not referring to the body of human beings, but to spiritual growth and character. And to help Adam and Eve, God recommended that they not eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. What does it mean to be fruitful? As we know, in the Bible, human beings are constantly symbolized by a tree, hence the verb to be fruitful. When a tree grows, it will only bear fruit when this growth is complete. And then, you can already deduce that Adam and Eve did not achieve this complete growth. This is very explicit when we read about the fall. That is, Adam and Eve ate the fruit that was not ripe. Therefore, they advanced to the second and third phases of the blessing without completing the first. And the result has been what humanity has witnessed ever since, to this day.
Surely now you no longer need to search for mystical answers about why God created the creation and all of us. God envisioned a family that would grow to form a global family, and then we would have the kingdom of heaven. And why didn't that happen? That's what we'll see in the next video, so don't miss it by subscribing to the channel. Comment, ask questions, I'll be happy to answer. If you liked the video, leave a like. Thank you very much.